Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. My name is Jackson Alatesh, and this video is inspired by a viewer named Javi LQ, who basically mentioned, asked and said in so many words, I got an eagle, it's pretty cool, but I'm getting blown up, and I wonder what's next. So, in this case, this is my opinion of what comes next after you've gotten yourself an eagle and you know how to get yourself a reasonable revenue stream. In my case, I went out rares trading for a little while and also went out and just kind of rambled around the galaxy hunting bounties here, there, and everywhere just because it was fun. So currently I'm sitting at 23.6 million credits, and at the moment we're sitting in a Diamondback Explorer. Because the next thing that I would like to do in the world of Elite Dangerous is go outside the bubble and go exploring. So, once again, let's look over here. The way that this ship is fit is pretty much all D-class modules with the exception of the FSD, which is an A-class module. This gives us a maximum unladen jump range of 35.9 light years. Maximum laden jump range of 34.7. Pretty handy for getting around the galaxy. It also contains a fuel scoop, is what one might expect from anything planning for exploration. And the thing we're going to base this video around and what we're doing next with the ship is we are going to engineer the frameshift drive. So to take a look at the engineers, you just simply go to your right panel, the status tab, and then pretty much one of the only things you can select is view engineers down there at the bottom. This will bring up this interface, which will let you look at the various engineers out there. If you've been following the guide, this guy has absolutely invited you. He's very, very simple to get a hold of, and also fairly simple to get your weapons modified. I'll probably cover that in another video for those of you who are, like me, larger fans of combat. Who we're looking at today is this Elvira Martuk. And in her case, she has invited me. The reason being is because I have traveled at least 300 light years from my starting destination. To do that, like I mentioned, I was kind of rambling around the galaxy, doing some rares trading, and it just kind of worked out. So I got an invitation, and as you can see there on the screen, I need to provide her 3 units of Soontil relics. She also points out these can be purchased in a very specific place. In this case, they can be purchased at the Chernovsky City in the Inguri system. So there we go. So we need to give her these guys, and then she will love us and want to modify our stuff. So I've managed to go and get those. I'll take a look at the inventory over here. Ship's cargo, I have 8 units of Soontil relics. Part of the reason for 8 is because, well, they're a rare cargo, which means if I haul them several hundred light years from where I started out with them, which is the case, then they will be worth some money. And then we have traveled to her planet here, and at the moment, Longsight Base is where she lives and plays. So let's go ahead and make an approach to Longsight. Now the important thing about engineering your frameshift drive is fairly straightforward. The idea is to be able to get longer range, to be able to consume more fuel at any given point in time. And basically what this allows us to do is allows us to move short distances more efficiently, but when efficiency is not necessary, we can move large distances. Now this is not designed to be an entire introduction to the engineers. I can go digging through all the various bits and pieces of upgrades and ship interplay, which I'll probably do at some point in a video that's more aptly titled. In this case, this is just simply me preparing for exploration. And Javi, if you happen to be watching this, let me know in the comments if you found this video to be helpful or if there's something else that you've decided that you might like to do. Go ahead and slow down a bit here. That way we drop into the glide path as close to 2.5 kilometers a second as possible. Otherwise, it gets a little wonky, it gets a little strange at you, and just, yeah, it can drop you a long ways from where you'd like to go. So there we go, 2.5 kilometers a second. We're going into the glide phase. We can cover the rest of these kilometers towards the base very, very quickly. One way you can put yourself closer to the base is aim for slightly above the base. So that way more of the distance represented in the whole gliding business, so to speak, as more so vertical distance. So anyhow, it allows you to drop yourself pretty well right on top of the base that you'd like to be at, which is fairly handy. So our glide is complete, and we'll pop out just a few kilometers away. Alright, let's go ahead and start moving up here. So with the engineers, there are multiple different things you can engineer. Pretty much everything on your ship is engineerable, or will be very shortly after the Guardians comes out. Guardians being the next expansion to the game. And as far as the FSD is concerned, this is an extremely handy thing to do, even if you're not looking to, do a whole ton of flying around. Let's see. Landing pad 06. Well, I bet it's out there. Anyhow, one of the things that makes the FSD so handy as far as an engineering item is concerned is just simply the fact that you use the FSD constantly moving around the galaxy. The only thing you may not use it on is just simply a small fighter that you run around inside your system with, like, say, for example, the Eagle. And a little bit of a high G planet, so we're coming in a little on the quick side and overshot it. And we're also backwards. That's always fun. So go ahead and pull up over the top here. Basically do a loop and come down towards it. Yeah, and I think as I mentioned in one of the other videos, paying attention to the number of G's the planet is a very, very good idea. It's part of the reason why I went screaming by it in this case. So we're going to scoot ourselves over. Alright, and then we'll just go ahead and inch up here, get on top of the pad and set down. Yeah, and pardon my crazy driving. So in this case, as usual, I'm driving with an Xbox controller. It's not the greatest thing, but honestly, you know, it works for my needs. It works fairly well. Alright, so we are now landed up. Now the thing that Miss Martuck here is going to request from us as far as trade for her services, there we go, are going to be these atypical disruptive wake echoes. You can get a hold of these things fairly simply. All you do is you just equip yourself a frameshift wake scanner, as you can see there, assign it to a fire group, and then hang out around any station, nav beacons, etc. And whenever you see target icons appear for any sort of wakes, you go up and scan them, and then you have a reasonable chance at getting one of these good atypical wake echoes. In this case, I have 4 of them. I really didn't spend much time going after them for the purposes of this video. Alright, so we'll go into Starport Services here, and we'll go down to the, let's get gas first. Alright, there we go. Then we'll go to the Engineer's Workshop. Alrighty, and we've been invited to her, so okay, that's good. We're going to go ahead and donate all 3 of the relics that we need. Okay, now we have Grade 1 access to her. Go ahead and lock the track IR up here for the purpose of explaining what's going on here. Alright, let me grab a pen as well. Okay, so basically the engineers are broken up into different levels or different grades of access. As you can see here, there's little icons and such with, you know, little locked icons and the other ones that we don't have. And you can see that we have Grade 1 access to her. We can then unlock them by increasing our number of percentage points towards basically what amounts to a metric similar to friendliness. And we can see over here on the left-hand side of the screen, these are the items which she modifies. So she can modify our engines for us, our shield generators, as well as our frameshift drive. And that's fairly handy. Now, in order to figure out the materials that are needed to modify each of these, you can just simply go into the category and have a look around. So we'll say, yeah, go ahead, you know, work on my 4D thrusters. So we take a look at the screen here, the general engineering screen. Once again, we'll grab the pad, and we can see the resources that it requires to make this modification. In this case, specialized legacy firmware. I have no clue where this has gone, honestly. I don't particularly have any of it. That's kind of outside of the scope of this video. If you want to take a look at everything that any engineer could ever possibly do for your ship and the materials which are needed, I would strongly suggest checking out inara.cz. I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the video description, just for the ease of getting there. And I'll go ahead and link directly to Miss Martuck and her cadre of bits and pieces, so to speak. So as far as the actual modifications, you can get different modifications to it, such as, okay, so when we have this whole dirty drive thing, basically the thermal load and the power draw, okay, so we got thermal load and power draw are sacrificed for increased performance. Okay, so that's a pretty good thing. And then from there, we could just simply make the modifications to our drives. In this case, we can trade drive performance and mass for increased thermal load. So that could work out fairly well. There's also clean drive tuning, where power draw and mass requirements are sacrificed for better thermal handling. So basically, if you're trying to get a ship that turns like crazy, you want to do the whole dirty drive tuning thing. Eventually, I'll do that on my ship of choice for running community goals, and we'll discuss that one also in an upcoming video. So, as you can see, she can only do 2 ranks of engines. grade 1 and grade 2. Shield generator, she can do 3 grades of that. The frame shift drive, she can do all 5 grades of that. So we'll go ahead and we'll say select. All right. In this case, we can do faster FSD boot sequence, which really I don't so much care. The ship is for exploration. And you can see the different levels that she can do and what it will do for you as well as what it requires. So looking at what these will actually do for you, in this case, the boot time here can be reduced between 50 and 80%, which means if you have, say you have a 10-second boot time or 10-second time for charging your FSD, and you manage to hit that magical 80 percentage points there, what is happening is that's going to cut you down to about 2 seconds. It can be fairly handy, but we don't really care about that. We don't need it to boot faster. We just need to be able to go further. So take a look at increased FSD range is what we're after. You can also do shielded, which let's see here. This guy reduces jump range of mass, the trade-off being better thermal load and integrity, aka it's tougher. And those are the 3 that she can do. So we'll look at increased FSD range. So the way that the FSD works requires optimized mass. Basically, the higher the optimized mass is in the relation to the mass of your ship, the further the FSD can jump. So in this case, as you can see down here, the increase is between 3 and 10% optimized mass. And then it has these drawbacks, which I didn't fully circle, but you get the idea. As we move down, you can see that the drawbacks become quite a bit more, stringent, so to speak. However, the optimized mass goes up significantly. So, unfortunately, I do not recall the exact amount of increase that this modification is going to give us here at 10%. I did work it out before the video and then promptly brain farted it. But if you look here, where our maximum jump range is 35.98 light years, and if you missed that from before, it's sitting right here. Laden jump range is there. Or excuse me, I believe that's current jump range. I don't recall. Anyhow, we can go quite a ways all at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to select. First, we're going to pin the blueprint, just because at that point, then we can look to it over here when we pull up the engineers tab. It'll allow us to take a look at our pin blueprints wherever we happen to be. So, for example, in this case, since I run around in reses, I can't even select that guy. All right, anyhow, we'll go over here, we'll say preview outcome. And this basically shows us, once again, everything that we saw on the last screen. And then we'll say view cost and generate. And it says generating this modification will cost resources regardless of whether or not you choose to accept the result. So, okay, we got 4 shots at this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to generate a result. And if you actuate any button during this, it'll go through all this cool little animation stuff. Some people just like to see it and believe that fate may be on their side. Okay, so let's break this down while the animation there continues. Okay, so basically what we've got is the mass of the frameshift drive has increased. It has gone up by 2% to 20.58 tons. Don't really care. The integrity has dropped by 115. Yeah, 115 point. Excuse me. The integrity has dropped by 3%. So we started out with 120 integrity. We're now at 115. Once again, don't care. Exploration vessel. Power draw. The power draw has got up by 1%. Do not care in the slightest. This thing has a massive power plant for what it does. And then the important bit, our optimized mass has gone up by 8%. So the optimized mass of the drive was 1,050 tons. It is now 1,143.1 tons. All right, so we're going to go ahead and apply that to it. Yes, please. Okay, so now we go back over here and we have a look, and now the maximum range is 39.11 light years. So we've gone up, we've gained effectively the ability to jump for 4 light years as a result of a slightly, less tough FSD that weighs a little bit more. I am perfectly okay with that result. Now, in order to get to these higher level results, like say level grade 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., I mentioned that we want to increase our relationship with her. So in this case, you can see that we are now 34% of the way towards unlocking the next level. So what I'm going to do here, and there's multiple ways of doing this. The other way is to just simply grind 1s till you can get 2s, and then 2s till you get 3s, and 3s to 4s, and so on and so forth. Quite frankly, I find that to be a waste of materials, seeing as some of the other stuff you have to get is not exactly as easy to get a hold of. Although I do have arsenic, interestingly enough. Anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back through these, basically these outcomes. And what these are going to do is these are going to present a modification to our currently modified drive. So in this case, our mass might drop, our integrity might get better, our power draw might get better. We do have a chance for our optimized mass to once again go up. So in this case, there have been secondary effects that have ended up happening as a result of it. So yeah, it's really what we're looking for here is the optimized mass. And as you can see here, the optimized mass actually dropped. Okay, so that was pretty much a useless roll. Well, you're going to go ahead and try again. And it says, caution, you're going to lose this current result. Okay, that works. So we will try again. And I'll just hit the button here and it'll automatically generate everything. So in this case, I gained back some of the downsides that I lost when I initially modified this beast. So, for example, the mass of it has come down from 2058 to 2037 for a total drop of 1%. The integrity, which was 115.3, is now 116. Power draw has gotten 2% better from 0.61 to 0.6. Ultimately, though, still don't care about any of this. This is an exploration vessel. The only thing I'm concerned with is this guy right here. All right, so we're going to try again. And maybe we'll get a better result. Maybe we won't. And quite frankly, a lot of people gripe and complain about this whole process. I don't mind it at all. I mean, in my estimation, it's just kind of like life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Quite frankly, I think an 80% roll is fairly reasonable. Now, one other thing that we've managed to pick up here is we've managed to get a max fuel per jump as a secondary effect. So in this case, our max fuel per jump has gone up by 2%. This will generally increase the range of the drive just based on the fact that you can consume more fuel, therefore you can go further. So max fuel per jump has gone up by 2%, whereas our optimized mass has gone down by 1%. So the other thing is as a secondary effect on our initial roll that we applied, we got a 2% decrease in boot time. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and disregard this. I hit try again, but it's all redded out. So we're just going to go ahead and discard and keep our current result. So yeah, she says she's hurt, blase, blase, blase. All right, but as you can see, I might as well clear the marks off the screen. What for making some more? All right, so as you can see, we now have grade 2 access. So when we are 9% of the way towards grade 3. All right, not a bad thing at all. So we go back in here and we can select that guy, except now we can select the second blueprint and then we can pin this guy. Alrighty, there we go. So now we have a pinned blueprint and we're off to play with our brand new frameshift drive that can get us just a little bit further. And like I mentioned, this vessel is predominantly designed for exploration. As such, we're not really going to worry about it too much. Or excuse me, worry about the downsides too much. But I would like to have the increased range. Just because if I happen to jump a shorter amount of range to get between planets, it makes things just that more efficient. And there we go. Here's our nice little route. As we can see looking at it, and we'll discuss it in some more detail when we actually talk about the process of exploration and go do some exploration together. I can get there with the fuel that's remaining in my tank, which I have a full tank of gas, so I'm hoping that I should be able to get there. All right, and we can see that it is now 6 jumps to cremain. Let me go ahead and fix this guy. There we are. And I'll go ahead and highlight it for those of you who are just kind of leering on from the internets. 6 jumps to cremain. On the way out here before this modification, it was 8 jumps to cremain. So a nice little change of pace. We'll go ahead and turn around and lift off here and get on our way back off towards my current home system. And we'll see what else we can figure out as far as any kind of exploration tasks are concerned and how interesting those would be as videos. So I hope this has explained at least something slight to do while you're more or less getting ready or figuring out what it is that you'd like to do in this large galaxy of Elite Dangerous. There's pretty much all kinds of stuff you can do once you find a way to make a reasonable amount of money. And along those lines, we're still not done discussing those. At some point in the future, there will be a video regarding community goals, how to take care of them, as well as perhaps something on just traditional shipping and moving things about the galaxy, because I find those to be interesting topics. So then the next thing that we have, looking back at exploration, is the idea of, okay, so how do we fit a ship for exploration? What are some things that we need to know prior to exploration? And I would say something big that you should probably know is going to be driving around on planets. The reason being is because not all of the modifications you're going to want to make to your ship is going to require things that you can just simply pluck out of space, like scanning wakes with your wake scanner is concerned. The other thing is, in my case, when I go exploring, if I find interesting planets, interesting systems, interesting suns, I like to have the ability to actually set out on those planets, jump out on the rover, and just go drive around. So after we discuss how to use an SRV and how to get yourself around on a planet, then we'll take a look at the actual process of exploration and go from there. As always, my name has been Jack Altesh. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new around here, please subscribe. I absolutely enjoy getting those emails stating that I got a new subscriber. At the moment, there's only, 29 or so people out there, but nonetheless, it's a very, very cool feeling to get those. If I've missed anything significant, or if you'd like to see anything specific in an upcoming video, please let me know, once again in the comments. And as always, fly safe, and thanks for joining.